The Rangers lose their third straight, and this one is to the Detroit Red Wings as they lose 4-1. And this one was weird just from the beginning with the announcement that the Rangers, for they called it roster management purposes, were not going to play Jake Lecision or Vitaly Kravtsov. Now, keep in mind that Kravtsov hasn't played for a while anyway, but no Lecision, and so that meant 11 forwards and 7 defensemen. Ben Harper would dress and really played sparingly. He only played 2 minutes and 50 seconds. Some of that as a defenseman, some of that as a forward late. And, there's trade rumors out there. And I'm not going to get so much into that. You hear about Patrick Kane and, you know, what will that take? What are the Rangers going to have to do to make that happen? Is it the right thing to do? What would the Rangers have to give up? Those are all, questions that can be answered hopefully sooner rather than later. But for the here and now, what it meant is that, the Rangers, I think ideally, look, I'm no fan of Jake Lecision, so that's, not a big deal at all. But obviously, you'd rather go 12 forward, 6 defensemen. Either way, the Rangers just simply didn't play well in this game. And, could a reason for that have been, everything swirling around the team with the trade possibilities? Maybe. I think it's a bit of an excuse, but I'm sure there's some truth to it. But in this one, Detroit was the better team. Yeah, sure, the Rangers outshot Detroit 31-23. Yeah, maybe the score was slightly misleading, but this was certainly not like the Winnipeg game where I thought the Rangers played well in that one, and the goalie, Hellebuck compared to Shesterkin was just too much for the Rangers to overcome. This one, look, give Ville Husso credit. He did well, and Jarl Halak, finally, it's kind of a coming down to, Halak was due to have maybe a subpar performance. And so, a lot of streaks are continuing to come to an end. Halak, he had a point streak. Obviously, that's now snapped. This was the Rangers' first road regulation loss in over 2 months. I think the last one was approximately December 20th at Pittsburgh. It's a long time where the Rangers were really, at the very least, losing in overtime and in most cases winning. So, and Detroit, this is a team that is surprisingly right in the playoff mix. Like they are, and as we speak right now, they are in a playoff spot. They have a chance, and they're, they play the right way. Former Ranger Andrew Copp had he only had his 6th goal of the season. He's had a lot of assists, but only a 6th goal of the season. And Copp had a goal and 2 assists, so 3 points against his former team. And for the first period, the Rangers, for a large stretch, only had 10 forwards because Tyler Mott was hurt. Took a puck to the neck area and returned, but it was a rough night for Tyler Mott, who is from Michigan. I did not think Tyler Mott was very good at all. He wasn't alone. There were other players that didn't perform well. This was not a great game for the Rangers, even though really the second period, the Rangers had a lot of chances to potentially tie. The Rangers did tie it at one point. They had chances to tie it up again. Didn't happen, and then Detroit takes a 2-goal lead. And for the Rangers, they've just been trailing a ton lately. Even though the Rangers have been racking up points and, they were on a 7-game winning streak, they've been losing a lot. They're not really getting that first goal. And hopefully that's something that changes. What I did find interesting was Jarl Halak playing. That was an interesting decision. I thought that they would go back to Shesterkin. They didn't. It's going to be Igor. So the next game is at Washington, and Washington's a team that they just traded away Dmitry Orlov and Garnet Hathaway. So Washington seems to be in sell mode, and they lost tonight to the Anaheim Ducks. So, but you never know. It's a divisional game. Washington, they still have a lot of good players, so we'll see. But Igor will go on that one. And then against the Kings the next day back at home, based on the way things have been, it'll probably be Yaroslav Halak, but maybe they decide to kind of play it by ear with how that first game goes and maybe go Igor back-to-back. I don't think it would be such a crazy... Like, if Igor does well, or actually, either way, I suppose, I don't think it's such a crazy notion to maybe go with Shesterkin in both those games. But what I will say for sure is that Igor will play in that Washington game, and then we'll see what they do against the Kings. But the Rangers now, on just a little bit of a slide, on both standpoints in terms of not scoring goals and giving up goals. Rangers have really been giving up a lot, and tonight 4 goals, and the Rangers have not really scored a whole lot lately. Again, they're entitled to it, and you have to wonder the outside noise of the trade rumors and the whole uh, Jake Lecision, Vitaly Kravtsov being out for roster management reasons. Like, I'm sure that it's all playing a role. So not any real cause for concern, but Detroit really they wanted it more. There was definitely a lack of effort. It was a sloppy game for the Rangers, which is disappointing coming off of a 2-game losing streak. It happens. Hopefully they can turn things around this weekend. But as far as this game goes, the Rangers, it's kind of a regular start, but the Ranger power play, it's not. I still don't love it. I really don't. And there was a delayed game penalty on Philip Hronek, and the Rangers power play doesn't score. And as the first period progresses again, Mott leaves, so the Rangers were basically rolling 3 lines, and it was different. Like, nothing was really set. It was all kind of mixed up. Eventually, at 15:33, Andrew Copp gets on the board, gives the Red Wings a 1-0 lead. It's a 6th goal of the season from Rasmussen and Perron. And this was a play where I thought that Miller and Trouba were kind of soft at the blue line and let the Red Wings come into the zone, and then Copp just beats Zibanejad. This was not a good game for Mika Zibanejad, who normally is very reliable in terms of the defensive side of things, usually. But that's a situation where not great, and so Andrew Copp beats Mika, but it wasn't just him, and that was a shift where it was, because of all the mixing of lines, Kreider was not on that shift. It was actually Goodrow, Zibanejad, and Vesey with Miller and Trouba. But again, Miller and Trouba too soft there, and Detroit takes a 1-0 lead. We go to the second period, and in the second, a really nice individual effort by Vincent Trocheck ties it up for the Rangers. It's his 17th goal of the season unassisted. So for Trocheck, he's really been playing well lately. I think he's one of the guys that has, in the last month or so, has really picked it up. And so the Rangers tied up at 1. But then, very soon after, in fact, 2 minutes and 12 seconds after, the Red Wings take a 2-1 lead. It's Filip Zadina. He scores his 2nd goal of the season from Dylan Larkin. This is a play where 2 people are very much at fault. Mainly Tyler Mott. Tyler Mott with just a terrible turnover at the blue line. You cannot do that. You bring Tyler Mott in, you don't expect mistakes like that. Sure, is he going to score a lot of goals? No. That's not what you brought him in for. You can't be doing that. I didn't think he played all that well. Maybe he was, and again, this is a player that is very injury prone. Like we saw it last year, and it's a concern that I have. This is someone that does get hurt with his style of play, and it's admirable, but it happens. And a really bad turnover by Mott. Then Larkin makes a nice play to get the pass by Zibanejad, and then Zadina just shoots it by, scores past Halak. Not a great goal by Yarrow. That's a goal that I think Halak would like to have back. So, a clear view of Zadina, not a great angle, and he scores. And so the Red Wings take a 2-1 lead. Then Ryan Lindgren cross-checks Rasmussen at 9:45. Originally, they called it a major penalty, which it wasn't. The right call was made. That's a minor penalty. So they got that right after a long review. This is a game that dragged on for a while. There was also... later in the second period, there was maintenance that had to be done on the glass near the Rangers bench. This was a long game that, definitely dragged on. And to make matters worse, the Rangers were losing. But the Rangers do kill off that penalty, so it stays 2-1. The Rangers had a lot of chances. Later in the second, Adam Fox, great save by Husso and Adam Fox. Like, really good offensive zone pressure and possession of the puck for the Rangers. Unfortunately, they weren't able to score. And to make matters worse, Detroit makes it 3-1, and it's a goal by Michael Rasmussen, his 10th goal of the season from Perron and Copp. So that line really did the Rangers in. And this was a goal where Rangers were really out of position. Halak makes a great save on Perron, and the Rasmussen is wide open in front. and is able to score easily. I don't really know where Miller and Trouba were. Miller went behind the net. Trouba, I don't know where he was. And then your forwards, not exactly the best defensive trio of forwards at this point. On that shift, it was Hedel centering Lafreniere and Tarasenko. So, I mean, not completely inept, but really three players that are probably one of, some of their worst defensive forwards, if we're being honest. So just a really bad defensive shift all the way around. Miller and Trouba, bad again. And we saw in the third period, and it kind of got lost in the mix, but they switched it up in terms of it was Mikkola with Trouba and Miller with Schneider. I don't mind if they give that a look. I don't know if I had to guess, I don't think they will, but I think it's on the table that they do. Because we've seen it with Miller and Trouba before, and I think that was the more of the reason. Could it have been possibly for Mikkola Schneider reasons? Maybe. That's possible, but I really think Miller and Trouba, I think it was really more towards them, really struggling, and so they made that switch in the third period. And in the third, a bad too many men on the ice penalty by the Rangers. I thought that maybe they weren't going to call it, and they did. And on that power play, the Red Wings score. It's Filip Hronek, his 9th goal of the season from Copp and Kubalik. It was a shot from pretty far out. I think Halak was probably screened by Mikkola being one of them. And potentially, I think Rasmussen was maybe in front as well. But either way, the Red Wings take a 4-1 lead. And then Tyler Mott, bad tripping penalty at 7:58. Rangers kill it off. Then things get a little bit feisty, I guess, where Rasmussen takes a charging penalty where he hits Panarin into the boards, and then Fox goes in there and is throwing punches at Rasmussen. Somehow the Rangers end up with a power play out of this. I kind of thought that, things would be evened up, but the Rangers had a power play. But to no avail, the Rangers probably does not score. Then there's a fight where where Jake Wallman hit Trocheck, I believe it was, into the boards. Lafreniere ends up fighting Wallman. Lafreniere gets the extra 2. Rangers call off the penalty. And yeah, just a weird game overall. Not a very well played game by the Rangers. They deserve to lose. Halak wasn't really there to bail him out this time, and you knew that was going to come. That was going to happen at some point. Halak had really been playing so well for so long, not so much tonight. But the Red Wings, I just thought they were the more physical team. I thought they were the more engaged team, and they win. And Andrew Copp is kind of the star of the night for Detroit, getting that goal and 2 assists. So that's 3 in a row for the Rangers that they've lost. That's the first time they've had a 3-game losing streak since November. This team had been reeling off wins and points like it was nothing for a very long time. And so some good streaks have been coming to an end in the past week. We'll keep an eye on where things are at with a little more than a week to go until the trade deadline. It definitely seems like things are happening. When they will happen, we don't know, but it definitely seems like the Rangers will be making some moves. And, that I think is kind of what the team is even focused on right now. But they have to lock it back in. It's a big weekend for the Rangers. 2 games at Washington and then home against the Kings. And hopefully the Rangers can turn it around and snap this now 3-game losing streak.